refuge you are to me in this ever-changing life. Sweet refuge on every sea, through the struggles and the strife. Joys, they come and go like waves, they ebb and flow. Like sorrows come and go, then sun rises with the dawn. Sweet refuge, when all are gone and your face is all I see. Sweet refuge, in all my songs, words and tunes you give to me. And when questions rise and answers are not found, I look within your eyes and feel your grace abound. Sweet refuge, in life and death, two sides of the same coin. Sweet refuge, in every breath, my heart to you belongs. Wherever I may go in this world, my eyes do see. May I always know you're always here with me. Sweet refuge, you fill my heart with love that overflows. Sweet refuge, your faces, your names resound above, below. Guide my every step in beauty and in peace. I shall ever sing your praise for your love that doesn't cease. Sweet refuge, precious refuge, sweetest refuge, precious refuge, you are to me. My sweetest refuge, precious refuge, sweetest refuge, you are to me.
Om Tadekam Smaramasthadekam Bhajamaha Tadekam Jagat Sakshi Rupam Namamaha Sadekam Nidhanam Niralambamisham Bhavam Bodhiputam Sharanyam Vrajamaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. On that alone do we meditate, that alone do we worship, to that alone, the witness of the universe, do we bow, to that one who is our sole eternal support, the self-existent Lord, the raft to safety across the ocean of this world, do we come for refuge. Om, peace, peace, peace. Good morning. Wonderful to be here in Santa Barbara with all of you. And today we have an appealing topic, to my mind at least, taking refuge. And in fact, this chant with which I opened today's talk, this is my preferred chant for opening a talk. This embodies the topic, actually. This is a beautiful verse from a hymn to Brahman, from one of our scriptures called the Mahanirvana Tantra. And it begins by, it affirms that there is a reality beyond our sense experience, that there is a supreme reality, which is, what is it? It is the very ground of our existence. It is the very cause of our being. It is pure and infinite consciousness, and our individual experience of consciousness is but a reflected drop of that infinite ocean of consciousness. It is the one without a second, the self-existent Lord, the witness consciousness of the universe. Everything arises in that and is reflected in our own hearts. And the verse affirms that on that reality we meditate. So first we meditate on that reality. We strive to perceive, to fix our minds upon that reality. And then second, we worship that reality. We offer ourselves, we offer everything unto that reality. Third, we bow down, we salute. We lower our head in salutations, in obeisance. And fourth, we feel that there is no path across the ocean of the world. The world is like an ocean, but there is a boat that takes us across the ocean, and the boat is that reality if we but take refuge. So then we take refuge there. So we meditate, we worship, we bow down, and then finally we take refuge. It's almost as if it provides a recipe for the practice of taking refuge in the divine. First we meditate on the divine, then we worship. Gradually that divine reality becomes more and more real to us. Because how can we take refuge in something that's imaginary? It's very difficult. But when God becomes real to us, then taking refuge in the divine starts to make sense. And so that's our topic, taking refuge. I thought some people might think, because I've heard that some people think this is actually a Buddhist temple, because it has that kind of architecture, maybe it's like a Japanese architecture. It looks a little like a Buddhist temple. And I've heard there are people who've come here for years who always thought we were Buddhists. And while we have tremendous reverence for Buddha and Buddhists, and as you know, we have a beautiful painting of Lord Buddha, painted by our Swami Tadatmalandi here in the temple. If you haven't seen it, come up close and see a beautiful painting of Buddha. And of course, on this side is Jesus, and essentially installed on the altar is Ramakrishna. But the Buddhists, it's a fundamental part of being a Buddhist, is to take refuge in the three gems. We take refuge in Buddha, which typically means not taking refuge in the person of Buddha, but rather in the principle for which he stands, the principle that enlightenment is possible for everybody. And that's also very appealing to us. Enlightenment is possible for everybody, for you and me. Not just for Buddha, not just for Jesus, not just for the great souls, for Ramakrishna. It's possible for all of us. And so Buddhists take refuge in Buddha, means they affirm that, yes, I too can awaken. And they take refuge in the Dharma, in the teachings of Buddha, the way which he has shown to that enlightenment. And they take refuge in the Sangha, the community of practitioners, those who follow Buddha. So that's a beautiful little aside from Buddhism. And actually, that's the beauty of being Vedantists, being students of Vedanta. We can appreciate the teachings of other religions also and learn from them and deepen our own practice. So the beautiful tradition of taking refuge in Buddha and his teachings and his community of seekers is inspiring. But today I'm going to take a little bit of different tack. I'm going to look at this idea of taking refuge, mainly from the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna himself. And the idea of taking refuge in the divine reality, in God, in our personal, in that aspect of the divine, for those of us who conceive of God as personal, because Vedanta also affirms the impersonal divine. And for someone who follows that path, the path of wisdom, perhaps seeking refuge would look more like affirming my true nature as infinite consciousness and bliss. That's what that kind of taking refuge would look like. I reject that I am a body, that I have a mind and a body. I affirm that my true nature is infinite consciousness and bliss. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am that infinite consciousness and bliss. That is my true nature. But for most of us, I hope we practice, certainly the path of devotion is very appealing to me also. We cultivate love for the divine, love for the beloved. And then, part of that practice of cultivating love is taking refuge in the divine. One of the ancient sages, one of our ancient Vedantic sages, proclaimed a beautiful verse. I'm going to chant it in Sanskrit because I love this one. Om yo brahmanam vidadhati purvam yo vai vedamscha prahinoti tasmai tamha devam atma buddhi prakasham mumukshurvai sharanamaham prapadye. Swami Atmarupananda also loves this one. He probably chanted it when he was here. We who seek liberation take refuge in that infinite light which illuminates the hearts of all, which is the source of the Creator himself and the repository of infinite knowledge. That light which shines in every heart, which is the source of the universe and the Creator itself. We run to take refuge. Sharanam aham prapade. I take this sharanam, this refuge. I throw myself on that reality, surrendering myself, taking refuge there, prapadye. It is the natural call for all of us to seek for safety. We want safety. This world sometimes seems like a dangerous place, so we want a place where we are safe. And for many people, their home is their castle, and their home is their place of safety. But we know, if we have any memory at all, we know that homes are not all that safe. Here in Montecito itself, we had terrible floods and mudslides, and so many homes were destroyed. And in Los Angeles, we had the fires last year. So many, thousands of homes wiped out in the flash of a blaze of fire. So where then is a place of safety? Well, for the spiritual seeker, we take refuge in the divine as the true place of safety, where we cannot be touched, our bodies can be touched anywhere in this world, but our true self cannot be touched. And when we take refuge in the divine, we are surrounding ourselves with that perfect safety, that perfect refuge of light and love and our true home in the divine. Well, in that amazing story of the conversation between Sri Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield, perhaps you're familiar with it, Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna saw that this battle is about to come, and suddenly he saw that many of his very dear family members are on the other side. And he realizes that as his duty as a soldier fighting for this side is to kill them. And he couldn't do it. And he was overcome with weakness. He was overcome with pity. And finally he turns to Sri Krishna and says, my nature is overpowered by weakness, by commiseration. My mind is bewildered about what my duty is. I pray to you, I request you, tell me, what should I do? What is right for me to do? I am your disciple. Instruct me who have taken refuge in you. So Arjuna takes refuge in Sri Krishna. And it is then that Sri Krishna begins his teachings of wisdom, teachings of the Gita about the true nature of who we are. So what is this taking refuge really? How do we do it? How do we take refuge? And why does Sri Krishna continually tell Arjuna and all of us, take refuge, take refuge, take refuge? Sri Krishna gives a few hints how we can do this. How do we take refuge? In fact, he gives a lot of hints. I'm going to just read a couple of them. How do we take refuge? He suggests, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, whatever you practice in the form of spiritual disciplines, intense spiritual disciplines. O Arjuna, do that as an offering unto me. Reflected in our opening verse. That alone do we meditate, that alone do we worship. And he suggests, fix your heart on me. Fix your heart on me. What does that mean? I think it means, think of me. Love me. Fill your heart with me. We are taught in our tradition to meditate on the divine. Where? In the heart, deep within our heart. Not the physical heart, but the spiritual heart which lies deep in the core of our being. We are asked to meditate there. Sri Ramakrishna and all our teachers suggest this is the best place for us to meditate. This is the connection between our individual soul and the universal soul. Fix your heart on me. Give your love to me. Worship me. Bow down before me. So shall you come to me. This is my pledge to you, for you are dear to me. So he offers this tremendous assurance. You will come to me. If you do these things, if you take refuge, then the next verse, this is the very end of the teachings, where after he's given all his teachings about the nature of the self, the nature of the divine, and how to practice in this world, how to do our work as an offering, how to be unattached from our work, and how to love the divine, he gives these instructions. Abandon all dharmas. Let go of all your duties, all the things that you ought to do, everything. Let it all go and come to me alone for shelter. Come here for shelter. Come here for refuge. Mam ekam sharanam raja. There's that word again, sharanam, the refuge. Come to me for as the one refuge. And I shall deliver you from all your difficulties, from all the bad things you have done that hold you back. So do not grieve. In other words, I will save you. Come to me, take refuge in me, and I will save you. This is the message of Sri Krishna. It's the message of all the great world teachers of humanity. So we see, again, through meditation, through thought, through love, through bowing down, through renunciation of everything else. But of course, though it is easy to say so and maybe easy to understand, it's not so easy to do. It takes practice. Sri Ramakrishna has a nice story about that. He delineates two kinds of devotees. They're the devotees who are like young monkeys and the devotees who are like kittens. The monkey devotee and the kitten devotee. There was a young man, he was talking with a young man who told him, we don't find the leisure to call on the divine. We don't find that time. And Sri Ramakrishna says, what can you do? Lay everything at his feet. Give him the power of attorney. Let him do whatever he thinks best. So first he suggests, take refuge, surrender everything, lay everything at the feet of the Lord, and give him the power of attorney. This is a very appealing teaching that Sri Ramakrishna comes back to many times. Give God your power of attorney. Let her do what she will. And then he says, there are two kinds of aspirants, two kinds of seekers of God. And the nature of the one is like that of the young monkey, and the nature of the other is like that of the young kitten. The young monkey, with great exertion, somehow clings to its mother. And I have seen this in the Himalayas. They're called the langurs. They're the beautiful monkeys, they're quite large, maybe if they're sitting on their haunches like this, and they've got gray fur with very dark black skin. Their faces are black, and they've got that long tail. They're called the Hanuman monkeys. And they live mostly up in the trees, in the tall trees, and they jump from branch to branch, maybe 50, 75, 100 feet up. I don't know how they do it, jumping up there from branch to branch with their tails for balance and all of that. And if you look closely, you'll see some of the moms have a little baby monkey clinging for dear life to mom's belly, grabbing onto that fur and holding on for dear life. And mom's jumping, if the monkey lets go, it could be seriously injured or die, the baby monkey. So the monkey is holding on for dear life to its mom as she's jumping in the branches like that. So Sri Ramakrishna is suggesting that some seekers are like that. They feel they have to repeat God's name a certain number of times. They have to meditate for so many hours a day. They have to practice all these spiritual disciplines. They have to do tapasya, austerities. And so he says, a seeker of this kind makes his own efforts to catch hold of God. So he says, people who behave like the young monkey have a slight idea of being the doer, that I'm still the agent of action. And they feel that they must do all those things to catch hold of God. Then he contrasts this with the kitten. Now the kitten cannot do anything. It cannot hold on to its mom. Rather, what does the mom actually picks up the kitten by the scruff of its neck. Surely you've seen it. There's that loose fold of skin on the back neck of a kitten, and the mother cat will simply pick it up and carry it around to where she wants to put it. And Sri Ramakrishna, he gives various examples. He says, suppose the mother cat may put the kitten on a bed, or maybe next to the hearth, or maybe on the roof behind a pile of wood. It's funny how specific his examples get. He must have seen a cat put her kittens on the roof behind a pile of wood. In the Indian houses, at least in the cities, they are with flat roofs. They call it the terrace, and it's typically there's a stairway to go up there, and you can walk up there and maybe put some chairs up there. And at night in summer, people sleep up there, and some people store wood up there. And mother cat brings her kittens up there. So he points out the kitten doesn't know how to cling to the mother. Likewise, there are some aspirants, some spiritual aspirants, who cannot practice spiritual discipline by calculating about japa, about repeating their mantra, or how long they're going to meditate. All that they do is cry to God with yearning hearts. Just like the kitten, all the kitten can do is meow, 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 meow. And when the kitten starts meowing, what happens? The mother cat comes running and picks up the kitten and puts it somewhere else, maybe nurses it. So he gives this assurance. All they do is cry to God with yearning hearts, and God hears their cry. God hears their cry and cannot keep himself away. He reveals himself to them. So he says the devotees of this class, the kitten class, give their power of attorney to the divine, and thus become free of all worry. How beautiful. They become free of all worry. They have an unwavering conviction in the reality of the divine, that God is our mother and father. So it seems like Sri Ramakrishna actually favors a little bit the attitude of a kitten. It seems like it's a more mature mood, a more advanced attitude to take. And he admits, my nature is like that of a kitten. It only cries meow, meow. The rest it leaves to its mother. But he acknowledges, but he says, the aspirants of both classes are devotees. And I think he would say that we have to start as monkeys, and we graduate to the kitten stage of seeking refuge and surrender. The monkey attitude is very active. The monkey holds on. It puts its own effort to hold on. Likewise, we also hold on. We have to struggle in spiritual life. At least we feel like we have to struggle. And so long as we feel like we have to struggle, we do have to struggle. And we struggle to gain some mastery over our minds. And we struggle to find a little peace within. And we do our spiritual disciplines. And we try to see the divine within our own hearts and within the hearts of others. And it can be a struggle. And we carry on with that struggle. It's hard work. Whereas when the time comes that this mood ripens, then we simply turn everything over to the divine. We just let go and let Mother do as she wills. Let the Lord do as he wills with us. It comes in the course of time. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of a boatman who's piloting his boat down a river, and he hits some rapids, and there's some sharp turns and waves and all of that, and he's struggling to keep control over the boat. He's got both hands on the rudder and carefully steering around the things. And then what happens? He passes through those rapids and he reaches a broad section of the river where the water is calm and peaceful. And then he relaxes. He just keeps one finger on the rudder, and he gets ready to hoist the sail. In the meantime, he gets ready to enjoy a smoke. Sri Ramakrishna often used to use that example of smoking to signify just really relax, really take it easy. In those days, of course, there was no knowledge that smoking was bad for health. And the people used to smoke not cigarettes, but they would smoke a certain kind of water pipe called a hubble bubble. Called a hubble bubble because of the bubbling sound of the when you smoke it. It was a very simple pipe made of a coconut shell, and with a hole in the coconut shell, and you put a little ceramic bowl of charcoal and tobacco in it, and there's another hole on it on the shell, and you put water in the shell, and so you just put it to your mouth and you breathe in, and you get the bubbling sound, the hubble bubble, hubble bubble, hubble bubble. So that's called a hubble bubble pipe. And Sri Ramakrishna used to smoke a hubble bubble himself. And so he would say, then the boatman, he's passed through the storms of the river, and so now he can relax and have a smoke. And in the same way, he says, the seeker enjoys that peace and calm after passing through the waves and the storms of the lust and the greed, all the passions that we have to struggle with in our spiritual life. So it's funny because Sri Ramakrishna, sometimes I feel like he's a very good salesman for spiritual life. But sometimes I feel like he doesn't give us the complete story, because he says, yeah, you have to struggle a little bit in the beginning, and then you'll have the peace and gentleness, and it's great. And so, but we find that the struggling takes a long time. At least for most people, it's not like a few weeks of struggle and then you get to smoke your hubble bubble. It takes a lot longer than that. And almost not quite a bait and switch, but it's a little bit, he's a salesman. He's a good salesman. So he says, practice and you'll get the peace. But if we look at Sri Ramakrishna himself, he practiced the intensest spiritual disciplines. He gave up sleep, hardly slept for many years, meditating all night in the jungle under a tree with ghosts in the tree and all kinds of things. So how this state of utter surrender, of utter selflessness comes through struggle, Sri Ramakrishna explains by another very appealing parable, the parable of the bird and the mast. Probably, at least some of you must know these. These are all taken from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, that amazing record of the conversations and doings of Sri Ramakrishna, recorded by his disciple known as M. His name was Mahendranath Gupta, but he's known as M. So the story is that a bird sat on the mast of a ship. The ship was anchored at the harbor in Calcutta, and a bird sat on the mast and was relaxing and was absent-minded and didn't notice that the boat raised anchor and went down the river towards the ocean and sailed out onto the ocean and out far away from land. And when the bird came to its senses, it couldn't see land anywhere. The ship was on the open sea. So what happened? It flew to the north, hoping to find land. And it flew and flew and flew as far as it could. And then it realized, it got so tired, it realized it better just go back to the mast or it would run out of steam and just die. So it came all the way back to the mast and relaxed there and rested for a long time. Then again, it took off, flying this time towards the south, and it flew and flew and flew for a long time, couldn't find land. Finally, panting for breath, came back to the mast, rested for a long time. Then, likewise, it went to the east, likewise went to the west. It couldn't find land anywhere. What did it do then? Well, then it came back to the mast and just surrendered there. It just stopped. It, as Sri Ramakrishna says, it came back and settled down on the mast. It did not leave the mast again, but sat there without making any further effort. It no longer felt restless or worried. Because it was free from worry, it made no further effort. So this is how true surrender comes. That true feeling of, I have taken refuge and I need not do anything more. We have to tire out our wings. We have to tire out our wings. And when our wings get completely tired out, when we realize that actually we cannot do it by our own steam, then that mood of total resignation comes, that mood of taking full refuge in the divine comes. And then also the divine comes and holds us and keeps us and carries us across. So this is that power of attorney that we are talking about. How to really attain that. Because Sri Ramakrishna often says, give your power of attorney to God. Give your power of attorney to the Divine Mother. And it actually requires tremendous struggle to get there. And there's a beautiful passage I'd like to read from Swami Saradananda, another of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples. And he's talking about this practice of giving the power of attorney to the divine. And he describes the necessary, what needs to happen if we are really going to do that. What needs to happen? He says, the power of attorney cannot be given for the mere wish. It's not enough just to want to give the power of attorney. One can rightly give it only when, as the result of much effort and perseverance, the mind realizes a state in which that is made possible. And then only is it that the Divine Lord accepts it. He gives the example of someone who says, I've given my power of attorney to God, and then they do whatever they like. Maybe they do a lot of bad actions also. Oh, I don't have to worry. I've given my power of attorney to God. And then they go and cheat people and steal and everything. And Swami Mahayogananda says, that's not true giving of the power of attorney. That's not accepted by the divine. That's cheating yourself. So that's hypocrisy. So he describes, this is a beautiful passage, even when running after the various things of the world to become happy, one really feels that what one has attained is a shadow without reality. Even when performing spiritual practices, japa, meditation, and other intense spiritual disciplines, one feels in one's heart of hearts that it can never be an adequate price for the attainment of the infinite Lord. And even when employing unsparingly all means and methods with the hope and faith of moving mountains by the sheer force of perseverance, one realizes that one has no power to move even a straw. It is only then that one begins to cry aloud in a plaintive voice, O thou protector, whoever and wherever thou art, save me. And it is then that the Lord accepts one's power of attorney. This wonderful incident connected with this about Girish Ghosh. He was the Bohemian disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, a great playwright, very gifted writer and playwright and musician and composer and disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. But he had also been, Bohemian to the nth degree and had lived a very fast and unwholesome life for a long time. And so then he had a sort of a revolution and a conversion, and he started coming to Sri Ramakrishna. And one day he asked Sri Ramakrishna, well, what should I do now? And Sri Ramakrishna just gives him a very simple request. He says, just think of God when you wake up in the morning and again before you go to bed at night. Just think of God. But Girish felt like, wow, I don't know. Sometimes I'm up all night, and other times I sleep all day. And I don't know. I don't think I can do that. I can't promise you that. No, I can't do that. You can't do that? Okay. Well then, just before you take your meal, think of God before you take your meal. Well, sometimes I eat in the morning, sometimes I eat at night. I have completely irregular time for eat. I don't think I can do that. No, I can't do it. Then Sri Ram said, okay, then give God your power of attorney. Oh, I don't have to do anything. Just give God my power of attorney. Great, I'll take that, thank you. Great. Actually, he says, give me your power of attorney. Sri Ram says, give me your power of attorney. So Girish was very happy with that. He said, yes, that I can do. I give Sri Ramakrishna my power of attorney. Sri Ramakrishna will look after me. He will look after my spiritual life. I don't have to worry anymore. But then Sri Ramakrishna started disciplining him. And when Girish would say, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, he'd say, well, what? What are you saying? You can't say that anymore. You have to say, if God wills, I'll do this. If God wills, I'll do that. So gradually, Girish found that this discipline of giving Sri Ramakrishna the power of attorney forced him to remember Sri Ramakrishna at every moment. And he became a saint. He became a great saint, an illumined soul, through that practice of remembering his teacher, his divine teacher at every moment. Because always he had to think, am I doing this by my will? Or is it his will? Sri Ramakrishna says, he also emphasizes the importance of grace, of course. And how do we taste the grace of God? How does grace come and finally take us over? He says one cannot see God without His grace. This is the goal of life, says Sri Ramakrishna, to see God, to realize God, to know God intimately and directly as the very basis of our own being. But without grace, we cannot have that experience. And then he says, is it an easy thing to receive the grace of God? One must altogether renounce egotism. One cannot see God as long as one feels, I am the doer. Remember that? That doership. The monkey devotee still has a little feeling of doership. The kitten devotee has given up that doership. And he gives an interesting example. He says in the Indian household there's a storeroom where all the food and other things are kept. And suppose in a family a certain person has taken charge of the storeroom. And if you ask the master of the house, sir, will you yourself kindly give me something from the storeroom? Will you please give me some bananas from the storeroom? And the master will say, there's already someone there. What can I do there? Someone's already there. In other words, if our little ego is sitting in the storeroom of our heart, then God's not going to come. There's somebody already there. Well, what do I need to do there? And he tells it's a kind of, to me, it's a very amusing story. The story of but keep in mind, he meant it as a humorous story. It sounds a little gruesome, but he talks about a cow, a suffering cow, and he says, the cow cries, hamba. This is apparently his way of describing, we say the cow goes moo, but he said the cow goes hamba, which means I, myself. That is why it suffers so much. It is yoked to the plow and made to work in rain and sun. Then it may be killed by the butcher, he says. From its hide, shoes are made, and also drums, which are mercilessly beaten. And then people laugh. Here's the humor. Actually, the cow's dead, so how can it suffer anymore? But still, the hide of the cow is made into shoes, so people are walking on even after it's dead. Its suffering doesn't end because people are walking on its skin and beating its skin mercilessly on the drums. So still, it does not escape suffering. At last, strings are made out of its entrails for the bows used in carding cotton. Now, in this implement which is used for carding cotton, it's a long kind of a bow with a string which apparently is made of the entrails of a cow. And when it is plucked, it makes a very strange sound. And the people who do this work, they'll come through the streets of Calcutta and they'll rejuvenate your mattress, because the mattress is just like filled with cotton. So it gets compressed. So the carder will come and sort of run that bow through it somehow and make it, again, fluff it up and maybe add a little bit. And so they go through the streets of the city, plucking that bow. That's advertising what they're offering. And it gives this sound, which Sri Ramakrishna says. Now then it no longer says hamba, hamba. Then it says tuhu, tuhu, which means thou, thou. Only then are its troubles over, when finally it learns to say thou, thou, tuhu, tuhu. O Lord, I am the servant, thou art the master. I am the child, thou art the mother. So to me, this epitomizes this sense of sharanagati, this sense of complete surrender, complete taking of refuge in the divine. Naham, naham, not I, but tuhu, tuhu, thou, thou. In fact, there are two mantras of Sri Ramakrishna that come in his teachings that I personally love. It's not the kind of mantra that we are given when we receive spiritual initiation that we use for meditation, but it's a kind of a prayer mantra. And they are this naham, naham, tuhu, tuhu. Not I, but thou, thou. And the other one is, he also uses a lot, And it is this, sharanagata, sharanagata. The sharana is the refuge. That is the word, it's a Sanskrit word and also a Bengali word, sharana. And agata comes from the Sanskrit word agam, to come. So to come for refuge. So it's actually the past participle. So sharanagata means I have taken refuge. I have fully surrendered myself at your feet. So he would pray like that. O Mother, sharanagata, sharanagata. A good translation is something like, I throw myself on thy mercy. I take shelter at thy hallowed feet. But it's just that one word repeated. Sharanagata, sharanagata. So to me, these mantras could even take a part in our prayer life. Whether we recite them in Sanskrit or we recite them in English. Not I, but thou, thou. But this sharanagata, it's hard to translate exactly into English because it encompasses both this seeking of refuge and this utter surrender. But it really encompasses both the monkey's attitude and the kitten's attitude. We seek for refuge. We come for refuge. We have to do the coming. And yet once we come, we have to let go and let the mother take us up in her arms. Let the Lord take us up in his arms. So nahang tuhu tuhu sharanagata sharanagata. I think the place of prayer is actually very important in this practice of taking refuge, because as we cultivate a relationship with the divine through prayer, God starts to become real to us, and we start to pray that very prayer. Sri Ramakrishna often prayed this prayer, Sharanagata, I take refuge in you, protect me, grant me love, grant me devotion, make my mind pure. That kind of prayer for helping us in our spiritual life. Finally, I want to mention the one important practice in this path of taking refuge, and that is taking refuge in the name. Taking refuge in the name of God. The name of God is very powerful, the holy name. If we received a mantra in initiation, then that mantra is tremendously powerful. That mantra is a name of the divine. We take refuge in the mantra. But even if we haven't had initiation, the name of God has that power ever and always. Sri Ramakrishna was encouraging some of his disciples to yearn for God, feel that attraction that God has for us. And then he says, you may raise an objection and say, we have not seen God. How can we feel attracted to him? But it is possible. And then he quotes a song. I do not know him. I have only heard his name, and that has fixed my mind upon him. I do not know God. I have only heard his name, and that has fixed my mind on him. That is enough, just to hear the holy name of the divine. So when we are in danger, we naturally seek a place of safety, a place of shelter. If we're in a storm, we seek a cave or a house or some place where we can be sheltered from the storm. When we are in spiritual danger, when we, as seekers, our dangers often come from within. And they come from without too, no doubt. But oftentimes the old tendencies we have built up deep within from even possibly past lives also bring up wicked thoughts in our mind, thoughts that take us away from the thought of God. We need a place of safety. Where can we run? The name. The name is always there. We can always chant the name with our lips or in our heart. We can run to the holy name. The unwholesome thoughts, the passions, anger, lust, and the like, a restless mind, we can run to the name of the Lord, run to the name of the Mother. And that is our refuge. We had last night, we had this in Hollywood, we sing once a month what we call the Ram Nam. Nam means name. Ram is the name of God. So we sing the names of Rama. We sing the names of God. And it has a beautiful rhyming of Ram Nam. And there's a beautiful Hindi song that we sometimes sing afterwards. And I'll just sing a couple of, just a little line, which gives this sense of the power of the name of Rama. Prema mudita manase kaho Ram 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 Shri Ram 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 Shri Ram 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 Param Shanti Sukha Nidhan Nitya Ram Nam Param Shanti Sukha Nidhan Nitya Ram Nam Niradhar Ko Adhar Ek Ram Nam Shri Ram 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 Shri Ram Ram Ram. The meaning is, O my mind, be intoxicated. Rejoice with love as you chant the name of Rama. The eternal name of Rama, the Nitya Rama Nam, is the treasury of supreme peace and joy, the one support of those who have no support is the name of Rama. So when we feel we have no support, we have, after all, a support. The name, the holy name, the name of Rama. This would be, we could spend another hour talking about this beautiful subject, and we didn't even touch on Swami Vivekananda and his attitude of seeking refuge in the divine, and his also his instruction through his evening hymn to his master Sri Ramakrishna, which we sing here every night. This hymn has as the fourth line, the last line of each of the four verses is, "Therefore, thou art my only refuge, O friend of the lowly." Composed to Sri Ramakrishna. He's saying, I have no other refuge but you. And there also he mentions the name, the holy name. He says, talking about his master, Lord, your name, the name Ramakrishna, is purity itself. It is the highest good itself. And it transforms us from wicked doers into saints. It transforms our actions. It brings us to fulfillment, your name itself. Therefore, as I have no shelter in this world, I can find no other shelter anywhere. Therefore, thou art my only shelter. Thou art my only refuge, O friend of the lowly. Thank you.
May thy name fill up my heart with every breath. May thy grace guide my each and every step. May thy love fill up my life as thy light shines oh so bright through each day and every night. My beloved, dearest beloved, I pray that you will purify my heart through every role of life that I do play a part, and in each face that I do see, may thine eyes look back at me. I
Thank you to Jayanti for both your opening song and closing song, both fitting perfectly with our theme today. And I thank all of you for coming and giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you and rejoice in the thought of the divine. Next week, our Prabhaji Krishna Prana will be speaking, and her topic, just do it. As a kind of foil to this talk. This talk is kind of suggesting, get to that place where you don't have to do anything, just take refuge. And she'll be talking on, just do it. So, good, we need both, we need the balance. Actually, there's and the following week, I just have to read this topic because it's really funny. Swami Mahayogananda will be speaking on, are you there, God? It's me, ChatGPT. So Wednesdays at 5 p.m., we have a reading here by Prabhaji Krishna Prana on Glimpses of a Great Soul, a portrait of Swami Saradananda, a wonderful book by a great monk of our order, Swami Aseshananda, about Swami Saradananda, who was one of Sri Ramakrishna's intimate monk disciples. And on Saturdays at 5 p.m., we have the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, reading and discussion by Swami Chidbrahmananda, who's staying now in the monastery here. And at the end of the month, Swami Baneshananda, head of our center in Berlin, Germany, will be coming, and he'll be here on Saturday the 28th. Oh, yes. So next Saturday, both in Santa Barbara and in Hollywood, is Karma Yoga Day. So please join us. And it's always a lot of fun joining as I like to say, joining our hands and our hearts in service here. And afterward, it starts at 9:15 at the convent, right?
Yeah.
And
9:15, come down to the convent, we have a list of jobs. We all go out and work, and then we all have lunch together at 1.
it's really a nice way to spend Saturday morning. So I encourage you to join that. And now I will close with a chant. Anything else? Any other announcements? No. That's it. Okay, I will close with a verse from the Chandi to the Divine Mother. Om Sharanagata Dinartha Paritrana Parayani Sarvasyarti Hare Devi Narayani Namostute. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O Thou, the Savior of all who take refuge in Thee, the lowly and the distressed, who takest away the sufferings of all, our salutations to Thee, O Mother Divine. Om Peace, Peace, Peace.